So next is the mash in, and this begins in our louder ton. I'll just step back so we can have a look. The hydrator, that's a hydrator on top of our stairs there. It gets set up underneath the auger. We'll do that after we clean it. We like to keep it closed when we're CIP in our louder ton so it doesn't spray a lot of steam up. If the steam goes into the auger, then you gotta get in there and clean all that out too, because it'll end up causing mold in there, which you don't want. Once you get mold, that's a terrible cleaning job, and it's not so fun. So it's our louder ton. It's 12 hectoliters, which is 1,200 liters. Like I was saying in the last video, the first thing that we do before we do any of our mashing is we have to clean it. So this louder ton needs to get a nice deep clean before we start feeding it full of grain. What we do is we feed the grain through the auger from the mill room, goes in the top. We'll have our hydrator set up so that it's actually hydrating the kernels of malt as it's dropping into the LT. We'll have the rakes spinning. Once we get enough grain in there, we make sure that it has the correct amount of water and bring that up to temperature and get our mash done. When our wort is finished, we pull it off the bottom and it comes over into the next vessel, this vessel here, which is right beside our louder ton. It's called a wort receiver. It's basically just a storage vessel to collect all your wort, because the initial wort is probably only going to be about 300 or 400 liters that we put in here. So what we do after that is we sparge, which is just rinsing all the grains off, and we just hook up a hose, a pump to our sparge line there, and it works through the sparge, which is up on top there. It's that round one, and it basically rinses off all the kernels, takes all the residual sugars off the malt, and then that goes into the wort receiver, and we do that until it's full, which is 1,000 liters. Once that's full, I'm going to take my gravity to see what our wort is at, and that'll tell me what we should get an alcohol percentage in our final product. And we take that, and it comes off the bottom through a pump, and it goes through this thermoline heat exchanger. It's either a water, or I've also got my glycol hooked up to it. In Calgary, we don't need to use glycol that often for chilling our wort, because our water very rarely gets around 20 degrees. It's usually a lot colder than that, so it's more than cold enough to knock the temperature down. But it's been pretty hot here the last few weeks, so actually the last time we did our mash in, I had to use glycol in the heat exchanger. So it goes through there. It basically goes in this pipe right here, and then it comes out this bottom one there. And we pump it into one of our two fermenters. That's FE1, and that's fermenter 2, FE2. Right now we've got a wash that's just finishing up. I'm gonna let that go for one more day just to make sure it's completed and everything's cleaned up in it. When it's bubbling that much, it's pretty much done. But what the yeast can be doing at this point is taking away any of the weird flavors that we have developed in. So it's not the worst idea to let it go for an extra day. And once that's done, then it's time to distill it.